Hi, Assalamualaikum and a very good afternoon. Thank you for being with us today. I am Nur Hasmila, your moderator for today Borak Santai session on the teaching and learning, shifting to the new beginning. 2020 will be forever remembered as schools and universities were closed and almost 90% of the students all over the world were affected. So this COVID-19 has forced us, the education community, to move the online to the online communication. So I believe shifting the online teaching and learning to I believe shifting teaching and learning to online quite challenging, not only to the educators but to students as well. So it is considered a new whole learning experience for students. And therefore, today, we would like to discuss further regarding this issue and get opinions from the experts on current teaching and learning methods, as well as their challenges, solution, and future e-learning based implementation into current education system. So today we are honored to have two panels of experts joining for us for this session. I am pleased to introduce the person sitting next to me, Professor Engineer Dr. Muhammad Shahril Osman, who is currently the Dean of School of Engineering and Technology, University College of Technology, Sarawak. Welcome, Prof.
Thank you very much, Madam. Yeah, it's a very interesting topic today. Quite a few things to say because these challenges in terms of teaching and learning in terms of COVID during the COVID pandemic time is something to be remembered for throughout some time later on. Yeah. Once again, thank you very much for inviting me.
Thank you for being with us today, Prof.
Yeah.
Okay, sitting next to Prof. Shahril is Dr. Agustin Syoma Afam, the Senior Lecturer for Civil Engineering Program, School of Engineering and Technology, University College of Technology, Sarawak. So, apa khabar, Dr. Agustin?
Kabar baik. Thank you for having me on the show. Thank you.
All right, thank you for joining us today. All right, so before we move further, guys, I would like to hear from you. So feel free to drop any question in our chat box in our YouTube channel, UCTS official. Okay, we will answer your question at the end of this session. So stay tuned, guys. Okay, and do also like and follow our Facebook, UCTS official, as well as our IG for the latest updates. Okay, now I have something to share with you on the some challenges faces, a few picture, okay, on the challenges faces during teaching and learning during COVID-19. So the first challenges, as we all aware, we have the problem with the internet connectivity where each and every one of us staying at home and only having the online communication. And another challenges faces are the preparation of students and lecturers, where lecturers need to be more proactive and creative in preparing the teaching and learning materials, as well as students need to be more proactive and to be independent in learning. And then expectation versus reality, where we all know that sometimes what we have planned may not work as it should be. So we might need to have a backup plan. All right, and then as you can see the photo here, where students were sleeping during online class. So this might also be one of the challenges faces during the online teaching and learning. All right, so I believe the educator and the administrator are working together very hard, okay, to keep students on track and shifting from face-to-face learning to online learning. So perhaps, Prof. Sharif,
Yeah.
can you share with us what are the general teaching and learning activities during the in UCTS during the COVID-19 pandemic?
Okay, thank you very much for the questions. Before I answer that, let's move a step back. What is the current practice in terms of teaching? Current practice of teaching is, of course, number one, you go to lecture. It's some sort of like face to face. Yeah. Then the second one is practical session during laboratory session. Yeah. Of course, there's another one which is the tutorial session, whereby the student can go and ask questions directly to the lecturer. This is the normal. We are used to be the old normal now, I think, which is the current way of that we know how do we learn, which is through laboratory, through doing things, through experience, through learning, through listening to the lecturer. But when the pandemic starts, so things have to be shift. We cannot be too close to each other because of the social distancing and so on. So what are the practices that we employ? Number one, of course we have employed the online system platform. We engage all the lecturers to we have at the moment UCTS do not have its own platform, so we engage all type of platforms such as Edmodo, Google Classroom, Chat, Google Meet, Edmodo, Zoom, and so on. I also like to inform here. I encourage WhatsApp even because why? This is where communication, much faster, so that student can ask questions to the lecturer. One thing that is really a bit difficult, because for those who are doing practical session like engineering subject, they have a lot of practical session, laboratory, and so on. So how do we overcome that? I think we have started to ask the lecturer to employ what we call as e-lab simulation, doing experiments through software, because this is something which has been there for quite some time, but it's not being employed thoroughly. But since the pandemic starts, this software seems to be more attractive to be used. So, for example, doing some measurement in statics or mechanics, for example, there are a lot of this software in fluid mechanics also, as well. I think Dr. Agustin would agree with me that these are all the equations that is put into the software, and student or lecturers starts to simulate it, and then the calculation will go on, and then results can then be we can obtain the results. These are all the new ways of doing things in terms of during the pandemics. Of course, the new norm means that the way we learn, the way we taught is also totally different in terms of preparation time, in terms of learning time, and so on. So to sum up, the changes are no more classroom. It's more on going to your bedroom, I suppose, where's your laptop or so on. Secondly, the practical session. Okay, in terms of those technical subjects, practical session is extremely important. But we try to make up that through using laboratory, e-laboratory or e-lab, as well as simulation. Of course, when you come back to the university later on, we need to beef up your skills and your what do you call as your practical abilities, because this is of course technical subjects. Yeah, that's it.
All right. So, Dr. Agustin, do you have anything to add from what Prof. Sharil had said just now?
Yes, thank you very much. Well, we have a number of softwares we can simulate to run our labs. So we may not necessarily need all the physical appearance or attendance, unlike maybe in other courses where you may just be, uh, you have to be physically available to handle some materials. So we were able to adopt some of those. And then for the few that were not possible, we needed to call a few students to come in at the end of the MCO during the recovery time, where at least people could move around. So, but in the end, most of the work were done online.
All right.
Most of the assessments were also done online.
All right. So basically, we are just like all of you, the rest of you, that we are experiencing new norm as wife, as husband, as father or mother. Again, we have to deal with our usual or daily life where we need to take care of our kids, and at the same time, we have to ensure that learning continues. Okay. So, Dr. Agustin, based on your experience, what are the challenges faces in teaching and learning during COVID-19?
Okay, thank you very much. Well, the challenges are basically of two dimensions. We have the human angle, and then we have the electronic and the internet angle. On the human angle, we found that it was very difficult for lecturers to keep students engaged in the class. Students were more or less passive, and all the time they are almost not there. Okay, for example, for myself, what I do if I need to know if anyone is actually listening, I would immediately say, if you are there and you can hear me, I need you to type on the chat box 111. And if you type 111, I would know you are there. And then secondly, I also was able to have a first-hand experience of students who were in class, but they were not in class because they were only logged on. Okay. And the only way for me to know if they are there is if they respond timely. So I also have to create another mini groups and give some quick task, not something extended, something brief, so I can keep them listening and then asking for maybe solution to anything they are doing. Okay. So that was another problem. Some may log in and go off just to keep their attendance there. And for my own course, I was taking attendance electronically. It's just those who log in. I don't need to call the names and all. Okay. Because when you're using a platform like Google Meet, you only have to take attendance. It takes the attendance automatically. So you may not be able to know who is active or passive. It's only recorded that is in attendance.
All
So
right.
that's one of them on the human angle. On the electronic and internet, we had to manage by asking students to try to be where they can have access and manage their connectivity, because that was a major issue. Thank you.
All right. So that was tough. Dr. Agustin covering on the electronic and then the presence of the students. But I believe Dr. Agustin and all the lecturers are trying their best to ensure that online teaching is a success. So, Prof, do you have anything to add from Dr. Agustin's answer?
Yeah, actually, not only few, actually quite a few actually. uh, Yeah, it's true. It's on the perspective of what was it was the perspective just now? The connectivity as well
Yeah,
as the uh,
Presence.
presence. Yeah.
yeah.
But if you look into on challenges of teaching and learning, there are two parts: the lecturer part and the students part. In terms of the lecturer, actually, I don't know whether people agree with me or not. Some student or some lecturer may like online because number one, it is recorded, so student can just simply have its own time
Mm.
to study. But by doing that, lecturers have to have the preparation time in terms of to prepare this material is actually double the effort actually. Usually, like I think any of the lecturers, like you just start to prepare your lecture notes and then start to deliver, and some put it into nicely presentation slides. Then we just deliver. But with this online platform and so on, there's more to be done actually. First, you need to know the platform itself. Well aware of that. How do you know the student is in? Sometimes I also don't know because the students keep on uh, closing their microphone as well as the video. Yeah, that's the first thing. Um, so the I imagine those lecturer trying to do level 3. So try to do this uh, try to do this experiment online, which is um, which is actually double the effort on the lecturer side. On the student side, well, uh, I think all of us are students. I used to be a student. No, I'm still a student actually. So uh, attending webinar or whatever, I think I follow all the students' methods. Close the microphone and close the video. Whether you are there, we don't know. Whether you listen, we don't know. But the best excuse is it's recorded. I can listen to it later. When later come, I also don't know. So the difficulties there is number one, you have to be very focused in terms of learning online for the students as well as for the lecturer, but most probably for the students, because when it's online, uh, you need to know uh, need to know when is the time. We need to focus the time. When do you want to listen to your lecture? And then during the session, right? You may want to ask question. Even though Malaysian student seldom ask question, but if you want to ask question, it's not like you know. Sometimes the lecturer will look at your face. They know this student want to ask question, but now the lecturer can't see your face anymore. So you want to ask question or you don't want to ask question.
So the
That's
lecturer cannot read the body language.
yeah, the can read yeah, correct. The inability to read the body language. Another thing is like being a lecturer myself, everybody else, when you talk in front of the audience, right? It's common to see, common to give. You just talk, and then you just see the expression of the students. But now we cannot. And secondly, those who like those lecturer who make jokes, like myself possibly, and then I laugh on my own, right? But now we are making a joke in front of a laptop. Nobody laugh.
Boring.
100% nobody laugh.
Quite boring.
So honestly, as a lecturer, doing that is even more boring actually. So the delivery seems to be very very fast, and it does not have that what we call as sense of what we call that a sense of uh, you feel you want to deliver something, but now you just deliver. So you don't have that a feeling whether the student understand or not. And then you can ask during the session, you can ask, do you understand or not? I can guarantee you 100% no answer. I don't know, is there any answer? Some maybe.
Rarely, rarely, I
Rarely,
feel.
yeah. Yeah, these are the challenges.
All right, so I believe these online approaches can be very dull, especially when the students were asked to sit quietly, watch video, and read documents online. So it serves no one well, especially those who furthest behind. So in this case, what do you think is the best way to overcome this challenge?
Well, when I thought about it, I mean, when I start asking lecturer to do online, I think uh, the technology, the technology is there, but uh, if the technology can move further on how to be able to deliver and how the student be able to receive the content, that will be some what we call as uh, new the way to move forward. Okay. Um, Apart from that, at this stage, to overcome is it's really you, I think both lecturer and the student require what we call as its own discipline and focus to ensure that the learning and the teaching and the learning, the two aspects here, one is to deliver, one is to receive, be able to be optimized.
So, Dr. Hussein, you have anything to say on this?
Uh, yes, I think in addition, we have been doing some of them, or maybe more needs to be done. Very good preparation on the side of the lecturers, and you need to really process your information very well so you can deliver something simply in a very concise manner for understanding. The long hour teaching may not be that effective for online. It may be boring and the students may be sleepy. Even the lecturer may be tired also, not only the students. So it's a two-way traffic this time. There will be need for the lecturers also to continue to improve on their own preparation.
I can add something here because remember when 18 March is the start of the pandemic, right? Right in the fifth or the fourth week.
Yeah.
So the school, I mean UCTS itself, are not prepared. We never thought of a sudden 180 degrees change to online. So the preparation, as mentioned by Dr. Augustine, must be uh, must be quite. The preparation must be there. And also we didn't prepare in terms of the infrastructure because right there then we suddenly ask all our lecturer without a proper guideline, teaching methods, strategy, as well as training. And then because through if the lecturers are trained and the infrastructure are good, the perception of the student receiving the input would be much better because if the lecturers knows what to do and how to do it, then he or she will then inform the students, okay, let's do this, let's do that, and hence the teaching and learning will be much more effective. I think the word here is effective teaching
Yeah.
and learning.
Yeah.
All right, effective. So it's quite an interesting input from both panels. So of course, with the support from the system also, we can overcome all the obstacles, right?
Yeah.
So guys, I need the support from you. Please do drop your question at our chat box, okay? UCTS official YouTube channel, okay? Jangan malu-malu eh. All right, so move on to the next issue. Question, Dr. Agustin, do you think moving to online teaching and learning is the right approach? And how can we improve this?
Thank you very much. I guess the moving online for this time maybe best approach, but as things improve, probably it may become a case of a blended kind of teaching for those that we can manage in some case for a few students face to face when the situation improves. It's okay to have that. And for a good majority, I guess it may still be online to an extent. Well, the only snag there is still the same thing we said before. We need to put the infrastructure in such a way that we have the guideline to be followed, and then in order to also avoid the case of having to contract the COVID-19, we must take that into perspective when we do the planning. So it's the right direction, but at this time we may have to blend some of the studies, some of the teaching and learning application. So it's still okay if we continue with the online to an extent. At least it has helped the situation. There is no increase in the cases. If we were mixing up all the while, I guess it would have been much more an issue by now. Thank you.
Right. Right. I think we may agree to some extent that uh, for uh, for for science, technology, engineering, and engineering stream, there are some subjects that require the attainment of psychomotor skills, right?
Yeah.
So simply changing from face to online might not be the best solution. So do you have anything? Do you have a say on this, Prof?
Well, yeah, in terms of the subjects in those technical subjects, they are divided into two. One is those subject which is management, ethics. Uh, Most engineers say the
Yeah.
boring subject or the reading subject, like
Very theoretical.
project management. Yeah. Then those not reading but more mathematical application. I'm not quite sure. Those smart one maybe say is also boring, but more practical. This is more the calculative part. And then the third one, I think, is on the practical session.
Yeah.
So those subjects which are more into reading, like project management, ethics, we can probably do the new approach, which is the online, probably full online. Those subjects which is like mathematics will require calculation, we can opt for what we call as mixed blended mode, we call it. Means that maybe week 1, week 2, week 3 you have lecture, 4, 5, 6 you have online classes. So students can then manage their own time. If they cannot attend some of the classes, or you have something to do, so they can view these recordings later, and then they have this opportunity also to see the lecturers, and not to say get to know them, to get the knowledge out of them. And then the third one, which I think may be difficult to do full online, but I may be corrected in the near future, where if there is new technology, uh, where we have to get the student to do practical session. But the practical session is where the laboratory, you have to do all those measurement, because to get the measurement through, if we do the e-lab, it's just better like you key in all the numbers, but actually this is not what we are trying to engage, trying to see. When you do experiment inside the laboratory, how you do the approach, if the measurement is not correct, you have to repeat the experiment or whatnot. This is what the thing that we expect from a student, whereby this is a training for the student, because mind you, this is a professional course. So if you are having problems on getting the right solution, what are the alternatives on how to get the right approach? So this is something that I think coming up to this now session, because previously it's always face to face, which is conventional. Now we are, I think, coming to a blended mode, and then possibly in the near future we may not know how is it going to be. But as for at this moment for school engineering technology, I think we are opting for the 3 approach as I mentioned just now, which is fully online, a blended mode, and a full practical session, which is laboratory session. Of course, by doing, if you are having face-to-face, SOP kena jaga lah.
Yeah.
Itulah.
And the FYPs also,
Yeah,
they need the practical session because they need to handle equipment and
yeah,
do their work to get data.
yeah,
Otherwise, the research part is not done.
yeah. Supervision of final year project is also another issue,
Yeah.
because when a student pair up with a supervisor, it's not only to gain knowledge from the supervisor, but to also this is like a one-to-one training,
Yeah.
where how to write, how to do experiment and whatnot. Yeah.
All right. So we move on to the final question from me. All right, guys, you still have time to drop your question at our chat box before we end this session. All right. Move on a bit out of our topic on teaching or learning. I want to know your opinion, Dr. Agustin. The steps taken to control the spread of COVID-19, the general steps taken.
Okay. Thank you. Well, the general steps adopted during that period was still the same. The public has actually adopted. In addition, for us in the school, we adopted the wearing of face mask, where we are in a group of at least 2 persons or more, and then we also ensured the social distancing. Some seats were removed, some desks were removed, and then people who also share offices have to also wear the mask until when it had reached the recovery mode, where we are sure at least a fewer number of people had the incident of COVID-19. We also tried not to have any classes at that time because it was going to be very dangerous bringing in people into the campus. And everyone coming into the campus was actually noted. So we know the movement in and out of the campus. Most teaching were opted from home, were done from home, and a few were able to come into the campus. So on the average, we were able to at least not have any incident in our campus. We can be proud of that. Thank you.
Okay. All right, guys. So, Prof. Sharil, in terms of the management level, how do you think the right steps to?
Oh, okay. We are dealing with education, which is very young, which is not very young, which is young people, which is the teenager, no, not the teenagers, about the early youngsters. Yeah. And of course, I've been telling all my lecturers and so on and management that safety is extremely important. Of course, safety in terms of the lab, but now it's safety in terms of the health. So the school have taken a lot of steps to ensure that this a proper standard operating procedure is adhered to. Like for example, in terms of the labs, cannot be more than more than 2 or 3 groups, because one group is about 5 people, so not more than 10 or 15 people in a lab, depending on the size. I think the lecture also, for those who really want to have face-to-face, for example, the tutorial, we ensure that the distance is there. And of course, when you entered UCTS, you have to be scanned as well as register. We call that scan in, either write your name or My Sejahtera. So on top of this, we are also concerned. Of course, there are parents who have been informing us on issues of safety, but I can assure you that safety in, for students, especially in UCTS, for those who are going to be coming soon, coming soon student, is very, very important for all the management. This is very, very important because nobody do not want to be not safe. Everybody want to be safe. So we want to ensure that by the new next semester or any time during the uh, education or during the teaching session, it must be in a safe environment. This is very, very important. I mean, in terms of management, in terms of myself, in terms of the policy of the school, policy of the university, safety is paramount.
All right. So, guys, don't forget to follow the policy, the SOP, the guideline, and frequently wash your hands, wear mask when you are in public, and as well as watching your distance. All right. So, last chance for you guys to drop your question in our chat box, UCTS official. Okay. So, we know that changes were needed long before the pandemic hit us. However, we are not in a position so urgent for change. We talk about it, but we are not so vocal about it. Okay, so let's look at the positive side where this pandemic has pushed us to be more creative and proactive, and at the same time we are trying to try the new method in teaching and learning instead of just practicing the conventional face to face. Okay, so shifting the teaching and learning process to online might not be the best, but it's not a bad idea either. Okay, so now we are open for Q&A session. I will read your question from our YouTube channel. But before that, I would like to inform that UCTS currently open for registration for September intake. Okay, and for School of Engineering and Technology, we have 4 programs currently offered: Bachelor of Civil Engineering, Bachelor of Mechanical Engineering, Bachelor of Electrical Engineering, and Bachelor of Food Technology. So guys, do surf the website and look for your favorite courses. Okay, and okay, let's have a look at our first question coming from Mr. Ismail Abdurrani. Thank you for the question. Okay, the question is, what is the hardest challenge so far that you experienced during the teaching and learning? So I think the question can go to Dr. Hussein.
Okay.
The hardest.
Well, I guess the most difficult challenge was trying to teach a course where I would have preferred the calculation was done face to face, because explaining it was not just once or twice, but we had to end the class and also move to the Edmodo platform for more question and answer session where the students had to get a better understanding. I guess that part is really difficult because you can barely do much talking for those subjects that you really need to solve a problem. So that was a challenge. If we had the infrastructure, the platform where you can you can you can view the screen and they can be interactive at the same time, then it would have made it much easier. But in the end, we were able to also overcome that with more tutorial sessions that we had to do online.
All right, thank you, Dr. Agustin. So next question, we move on to Lung Sin Jong. Sorry, I don't know this all right. So the question is, how do lecturers eventually and effectively track the performance of students if moving forward to online teaching and learning platform? Prof, maybe you.
What was the question again?
Okay. How do lecturers eventually and effectively track the performance of students?
Tracking. Okay, how do we track? At the moment, during all this platform, it's quite difficult. This has been discussed in our meeting in Senate, but it's quite difficult. But I do believe that there's a way on how to track. there are some few suggestions on how to track the performance by. Sometimes it's not performance, whether they are there. So either putting a what do you call it, a pop quiz, or are they putting uh, what do you call it, an assignment to that relate to previous class and so on. But on the way to track all this performance, are the both sides. I'm talking about both sides, the lecturer as well as the students, because if the lecturer did perform on the online, the students will definitely gauge or get all the information that they require for that particular course. So that is also an effect. That is also would be an effective way to gauge it. But of course, uh, it will be all will be reflected again in the examination results later. This is how you gauge penultimately. Uh, at this moment, uh, we are. This is a good question actually. It's quite there is not a single yes or no or methods that can practically gauge this actually. But give it time. There will be technologies or ways of, you know, there will be ways on technology that we can measure both the lecturer and also the students in terms of performance, in terms of giving out the lecture, in terms of receiving the input and so on. This is well, if I can throw back the question in face to face, how do you know it's effective? It's the same thing. So because I did went to this seminar on all this face to face of teaching and learning, right? Whatever you do teaching in terms of face to face, when you do the online, it's as if you are there, but you're not there. But the way it works, it should be similar. But it's quite something that to think about. You know, it's something new. So this is what we call as something that we need to look into. So hopefully the technology will be better. The new method will be new pedagogy will be there. You know, will be established, and then maybe proper training. Then we will look into it.
All right. So the third question from Red Bull. Hi, Red Bull. How do you balancing the different learning needs of students? Dr. Hussein, can you answer this question? How do you
Well,
balance?
well, we understand what they need. That is the truth. But to an extent, when you try to respond to each person, because of the level of preparedness of the person, most times lecturers may give that very general response, but you may not know because of the interaction. That's why I say the interaction. If there is a platform that can make you see how the students really feel quickly, not just the video, because the videos, maybe some are listening, they are not really putting on the video for you to see them. But if there's any quick feedback that we can have, I guess it can help us to know who needs to get more attention or who doesn't need, because we do not have any uh, midweek or mid-semester kind of assessment. We only have the extended assignments and eventually the online final exam. So at this time, yes, again, it's not easy to quickly assess the immediate needs of the student, except they ask. Except they're asking. If they ask, then you'll be able to give feedback and explanation on that area they do not understand. So you may not be able to know what's on the mind of the student or whether he understands or not. Some may say yes when you ask. My class, I usually ask everyone one by one. I call the names and everybody says they're okay, they're okay, they're okay. So I tell them at the end, well, if you're okay, then you should get an A for this chapter. If you meet a question from this chapter, you should get everything. So if we go to another chapter, you don't understand it, then you can say you don't understand, I explain. You should also get an A here. So at the end of this semester, if you don't get an A, then I think I have been able to ask you, and you didn't give me sufficient feedback to let me know you do not understand what I'm saying. So that part must be there. I think the lecturer would do well to push more to further probe if the feedback you're getting for every class session is sufficient for you to say the class can come to an end. Okay, maybe more work for us who are at the teaching end, because we need to make sure the partnership between us and the students are working hand in hand. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Agusti, for the answer. Okay, next question from Mr. Fazil Malin. I have a question. Okay, quite a long question. Usually in face-to-face class, lecturer use whiteboard to explain how the calculation work. What is the suggestion for lecturer to explain their subject, especially that require math work? Okay, Prof, since you are working with mathematics and all this.
Yeah, it's coming back to the technology again. I know there's one system where lecturer can write. It's quite
Yeah.
similar, and then the camera is either looking into the lecturer hand or from the bottom. So whatever the lecturer write, it's exactly the same like in class. Just that student will watch it real time on TV. That's another way to do things. Of course, if the preparation is there, the lecturer can just give the slide presentation slide. But I think most of the students are a visual learner, meaning to say they like to see, they like to see the lecturer to draw the 2x plus y, and what happened to the x after that, what happened to the y, because they want to see the flow. Because most engineering are visual learners. But yeah, we are looking into that technology or infrastructure equipment. Actually, this is coming back to equipment. uh, Possibly if there is a need actually, we will like the school will procure it, I suppose. We must procure it, I suppose, to ensure that all the mathematics, the application, not only mathematics, those subjects that require theoretical long equation like vibration, all those subject, reinforced concrete, it's all theoretical subject that have a lot of equations. So that can be we can do something there actually. Yeah.
All right. So next question from Dr. Gino Peter. Is online teaching I don't know what is this panacea or a distraction in terms of the effectiveness?
Is online?
Teaching is a or a distraction.
Okay. Okay. Well, I guess he's asking if online teaching is a panacea or destruction. Uh, at this time, well, it's a panacea because we need it to move on. We cannot all be locked up in our homes without learning. For the first time, the entire world had to have a pause in all activities, and according to the United Nations, 1 in every 3 children are not able to also access internet. So for the others who are able to access, I guess it is a good thing, because if there's no internet and no access, then that should be the worst. I guess it's a panacea at this time, and very important to develop any infrastructure that will help to improve it over time, though we need it the most at this time, I know. So it's not a bad one having it at this time.
Okay. So from Davina Chenda. Okay, another long question. Due to current epidemic and talking from parents' perception, how the effectiveness or quality of online learning can affect the students from technical program, which need more hands-on methods. I'm sorry if I mention your name wrongly, Miss Davina Chendang. Okay, so I think the question
Oh yeah.
go to Prof. Shaya.
Yeah, so I've got a tough question.
Yeah.
Okay, what's the current perception on online methods on those technical subjects, right?
Yes.
Yeah, actually, to give you an overview, the professional bodies have been talking about this. Not only the school, because we're also concerned of the ability of the students, because engineering is about practicals, it's about the ability of the students. Of course, we want the student, after this starts to clear off, we want the student to come back to the actual classes, because we need the student to be able to do the practical session. And then the perception now, this is again based on Dr. Augustine answer just now. It's just a solution for that particular semester. It is not the uh, final solution, because students have year 1, year 2, year 3, and year 4, and each year is divided into 2 semesters. But at each semesters, they do have what we call as practical sessions, which they have to go undergone. In fact, uh, the professional bodies like the board of engineers, uh, they we have to justify to the board that this student have sufficient level of practical session. So in terms of that, rest assured that the programs, or each professional programs, will ensure that all the outcomes, the objective that required for us students to graduate must be fulfilled. So this is something that we need to enhance and further increase our way of doing things. In actual fact, we need to maintain our quality as well as to enhance it and further enhance it. We do not want to have some sort of like certain students who would not be able to go for this particular practical session. In fact, all this practical session is required to undergone. If you do not pass it, you will not graduate. That is one thing. So you have to do the practical session. If in the case whereby it's still a pandemic, the labs, the e-labs, as I mentioned before, will be designed in such a way that it will have to get all the cognitive as well as the affective. I think we're talking about here is more on affective, which is not psychomotor, where we have to do things. Maybe by if we maybe some suggestion is to give projects at home. So the student need to do with something with their hands, the psychomotor part.
All right. So another question from Dafe. Okay. How will the teaching and learning in the next semester be carried out? Completely face-to-face or partial online, or how? I think Prof. Shari also the one should answer this question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this coming semester, as agreed by the university, not by the school, by the university, that we have agreed that students come back to the university, which is face to face. But we are looking into some subject. Those subjects who are less than 10 or 20 students will be face to face. But if they are more than that, the lecturer will have an option to do what we call as blended mode. Mean to say he can opt certain weeks. No, he can opt for online. So these are the things that it's still flexible. We need to be a bit flexible here. So even though the student comes, but we need to take care of the SOP. So we have to make sure that we adhere to the SOP. So classes will be, yes, face to face. Yeah, for all the students, face to face. So please come back. Then For those big classes, I understand like mathematics or other subjects, we will look into it. Possibly there are sessions will be online. For those labs, we will ensure that it will be divided into proper groups, and I think it will take more time now to do the labs because of this time. And then the university have agreed also that because of this, we have to have distances, social distances, meaning to say our operating will be starting from 8 classes, and then it will be finishing up to 9 p.m. So there will be night classes as well. But I think for those small classes like engineering, it will be not at night. I think most probably will be daytime. I'm pretty sure students don't particularly like class after 7 p.m. But we will try our best to ensure that classes will be as the new normal. Can I say that? New normal. It's normal, but it's new. Something like that. But so that so that issues of learning and teaching and learning. Remember, UCTS is a full comprehensive university. It means to say our mode of teaching is face to face. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. So, wow, there's so much questions still coming in. All right. Thank you, Prof, for the answer. Okay. So coming on to the Red Bull question. I think this question I might pass to Prof Sharif also, but okay, let's give Prof a break for 1 or 2 minutes. Okay. We move on to Mr. Abdul Rahman. The question is about how about having 360 degrees review on lecturers as a means to ensure effectiveness of teaching? Do you have anything to say on this, Dr. Bukit?
Yeah, I think for the feedback, then I think we need the assessment also maybe from students, just like we used to have in the traditional face-to-face. We have assessments every semester. So it would not be out of place also to have feedback on the online teaching, even though it's the first one and we were all learning in this first phase. It would be good. That may help us to see the loopholes and where to improve upon, and then have some more training, because it was something that came up all of a sudden. It's not like anybody chose that. So it's still okay if uh, there's there's a feedback from students, they assess and give some kind of assessment of comments, so we can see anywhere they feel they are not really getting what they expect, then we can make up for it. It would not be a bad idea.
All right.
Thank you.
So a real-time response is much better for us to get the feedback from the students, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So okay, next question. Okay, we go back to Mr. Red Bull, Mr. or Miss. Okay, what has changed in your teaching practices as a result of COVID-19 crisis? Did your institution prioritize or guiding principles for learners change? What is different for your learners? I think this question goes to Prof.
Change in terms of what? Change learners?
Guiding principle for
Guiding principle?
learners. Guiding principles.
I think the guiding principle for any teaching and learning is still the same. You have to know that in terms of the theory of teaching and learning, the teaching is to impart knowledge, to give knowledge. The learning part is to receive the information. The guiding principle, that is the guiding principle. So if the change part is actually the mode, actually, from face to face to online. That is the law, not the law. The rule of teaching is like you give knowledge. impart your what you know. And for the student is to receive. How they receive? Visual learner. There are three theory of that, right? Visual, uh, practical, psychomotor, and listening. Sorry, there's three listening. So even if online the lecturer talk, even in face to face the lecturer, so it's the same. So the guiding principle is the same, which is to give and to receive. And what was else? In terms of changes, no? Change in guiding principle as well.
For learners, what is different for your learners?
I think the difference is still the mode, how we uh, deliver. Previously, is I think the students are in front of our class. Now it is in front of a laptop. So when you talk in front of an audience, which is right in front of you, it's totally different from talking to a machine. Yeah, you would take the lecturer some time also to talk to the machine. I think it would take some time also for the student to receive, to learn from the laptop. Uh, that is a change.
Okay, so next, I hope we already answered your question, Red Bull. Okay, so moving on to the next question from Armstrong Omerigi. Sorry if I pronounce it wrongly. Okay, given the lack of in-person interaction, how will UCTS lecturers assist students adapt to the new e-learning platform, especially technical issue and understanding unfamiliar technology? Should I repeat the question? Dr. Hussein?
Okay, I think I got it. Uh, Thank you very much. For the unfamiliar topics, it's quite challenging because at this time it's very difficult for that impact to be really felt. Okay, where we have the face to face is easier to have subgroups of students. You give them a task, even though they do not understand what they're about to do, and then when they are done, it's now your duty to explain whatever they find and give them the actual correct answer. Okay, but in this case, it's really challenging to get the solution to such unfamiliar topics. But at this semester that just ended, one of these topics I've handled in one of my courses, I was able to bring it in form of a class task, which made the students to interact, and they had to call themselves over the internet and then solve the problem and then bring up their answers. Okay, I was able to now say, this is the reason why I've given you this question. Most weren't getting it, but I was now able to bring up the actual idea I'm trying to present, because even though we are not in the physical class, we still need to continue to make that effort to create that classroom as it would have been in the past. Okay, so we still went on to make those efforts in our classes, even though they were online. We still did that, so they are still able to understand those unfamiliar topics and come to terms with it and do their final exams. Thank you.
Okay, so from Armstrong again. Okay, motivation, time management, internet, and stress are some issues which students, especially new, may experience as they adapt to the new e-learning platform. How does UCTS plan to mitigate this? So I think basically Dr. Agustin have covered
Come on,
the answer for this question just now. Okay, so we move on to the next question from Nurzaini binti Selvi. On part of the lecturer, there are some hassle faced in conducting either online class or tests, assignments, exams, as to ensure the quality of work. For example, copy paste and plagiarism issue. Okay, turn it in is one solution, but is there any available method as online learning shall not be to plagiarize? The quality and authenticity of work shall be the primary objective. So is this the opinion or question? Okay, so I'm sorry. So the question is there any available methods as online learning shall not be a free pass for students to plagiarize? Prof, maybe?
Yeah, you mean free pass? I think in terms of learning on the plagiarism, hassle, or whatever, there are some issues where from our side we have detected that students have cut and paste and don't bother even write again and then just send it to the lecturer. At this stage, at this moment, there is I say there's no way that we know that it's some sort of like it is your own original work or not. But coming back to the student again, it is for you to learn. I think be focused, be professional. You guys are all professional students who are soon to be professionals. So be uh, uh, be honest on yourself that at the end of the day, lecturers give out knowledge, uh, and then you receive the knowledge. And if you are trying to, or we say cheat, whatever, well, it is not the lecturer lost; it is the students lost. So the, if students are honest or not, I think all this technique of trying to measure whether it is original or not original is not an issue actually. But for me, I know the rest of the lecture. I think most of the lecture, we trust the student to be there. We trust the student to submit original work. We trust the student to go and do all the works and so on. Because it's you are learning, not us. We are delivering all the knowledge. But if you don't take this opportunity of learning, uh, it will be something like not taking the fullest opportunity. Because at your young age, you should be able to to get as much as possible. Experience as much as possible. It's be a great loss actually. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so we have received a good suggestions and opinions from our panels. So we hope that this webinar will benefit everyone. Sorry guys, due to time constraint, so that's the question that we can answer just now. Okay, so before we end, in conjunction with the Hari Malaysia tomorrow, I would like to invite Prof. Sharif to say something regarding this Malaysia Day.
Oh, for all of us, and then also especially for all the students and all the staff, Selamat Hari Malaysia 2020.
All right, so for Dr. Hussein, you have anything to say?
Yes, my message is one Malaysia, and everybody stay safe as much as possible. Be conscious of your environment and do what is right. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Prof. and Dr. Agustin. Okay, so guys, don't forget to subscribe our YouTube channel, UCTS Official, and do like and follow our IG and FB, UCTS Official, for the latest updates. Okay, and before that, tomorrow on the 16th of September, we will be having Hari Malaysia siaran langsung on TV 1. Okay. And alternative, you may also see the live from social media Kerajaan Sarawak. Okay, FB Live through FB Live, Sarawak Event Channel, TV Sarawak, and Astro Awani. So with that, Selamat Hari Malaysia. Thank you and have a great day.
Okay. Thank you.